Welcome to Coaches Roundtable. I'm Ed Codi, and welcome our guest, WPIAL Executive Director, Amy Schooneman. Amy, I look at your job, and one thing that's constant about it is constant change. I was joking with you that 2 years ago when we did the half-hour show that you'd have all these problems solved, and you could holler at me anytime about that. But let's go directly to 6A football. And the great disparity between, in the West, you have now 5 6A football teams, and in the East, you have 33 6A teams. And I keep telling people it's not the WPIAL that's determining this; it's the PIAA. I know you get a lot of blame for things you're not even doing. How are you going to address this problem? How are you going to schedule for 6A? I know the coaches wouldn't want to play each other twice during the season. Can you blend this with 5A and then separate them for the playoffs after that?
Yes, and you bring up a great point that we don't determine classifications, and that's often a area that people don't understand because our classifications are determined across the state. So that changes based on how many teams participate in the sport, and then the total enrollment that's broken down by the number of classifications. So that's how we get a disparity in number of schools per classification in every sport. So we are left with 5 6A schools in football now, as you had mentioned, and we do have a plan. We spoke and reached out to the athletic directors from the 6A schools to see what they wanted to do, as well as a number of those that were in the 5A classification. And the sentiment, vast majority of the 6A schools did not want to travel north and go too far to play games when they have quality teams in their backyard. So therefore, we are going to be merging basically a non-section schedule between 5A and 6A. There will still be separate playoffs, and there will be section champions based on their classification as well. So I would say predominantly business as usual. There'll just be a few more of those crossover games for the 6A teams.
How are you going to handle the blowback when you get a 5A team that says, well, why are you scheduling us with both Central Catholic and Mount Lebanon? You know you're going to get some of that. It's unavoidable. How are you prepared to handle that?
Well, we have to look at the league as a whole, and everybody has to, play games. So we can't just say nobody wants to play these particular 2 teams, and so therefore they don't get a schedule. So we did reach out to all the schools and ask for their suggestions on who they would like to see crossed with, as well as 2 schools that they would not like to play against. And we have done our best effort. I want to say in about 98% of the cases that we did not schedule against those 2 schools that they did not want to play against. So that in itself speaks to the fact that they won't be forced to play with at least their top 2 against their top 2 teams that they don't want to play. So we're trying to accommodate as best we can, as well as provide a good schedule for everybody.
Amy, when you talk to the PIAA about this disparity between the East and the West and 6A, what's their response? That they have to see the dilemma that's there, and this can't continue like this.
Really, it's not. We are unique because we only schedule games usually within conference or within sections and classifications. Most of the state does not do what we do. So that doesn't affect them the way it does us. So they would, we'll take District 3, for example. They have leagues where you'll have a 6A team playing a 3A team on a weekly basis. That's not uncommon in any regard. So from that standpoint, it's a WPIAL issue and not a state issue. We've just become accustomed to having so many schools and being able to afford the option to play in classification. That obviously has changed, as in, we're seeing in other sports as well, with the basketball numbers, dropping as far as how many are in 6A and baseball. So there's it's going to continue to change. It's never going to be the same year to year. So we just will continue to adjust and do the best we can. And likewise, we have a lot of 1A teams that the other side of the state doesn't have. So we're just heavy on smaller schools in this side of the state.
So how will that work with your scheduling? Like the 5, 6A teams, will they get 3 or 4 5A teams to play and then be on the hook themselves for the other 1 or 2 games that they would schedule?
No, we will provide a 9-game schedule to all schools, except there, because we have an odd number in the total amount that we're providing schedules for, there will be 1 school every week out of 117. 1 school will not be scheduled a game because it's an odd number. We can't do that. So they will be tasked to try to find one of those games or have a week off. So that's an option that, again, there will only be 9 schools within the entire schedule that will have 1 game off.
Well, let's go to the other hot topic. It's Aliquippa being moved up to 5A. Once again, you're getting a lot of the blame, which you have nothing to do with it. They go by that point system based on winning championships and transfer students. And I think the problem for the Quips is they get these transfer students. So they've gone from being 1A, where they should be enrollment-wise, they're going to be moved up to 5A, I guess, pending an appeal to the PIAA. So what's your thinking here?
We've been in discussions, with our board and trying to see, what that's going to look like. Unfortunately, we won't know until after that appeal has been completed. We will make accommodations, as you probably saw in our alignment. We're at least prepared from a section standpoint for them to be placed in a 3A, 4A, or 5A section. So we will move forward with the appropriate classification once it's known. If there are some accommodations that can be met either through our board or through the PIA, then we'll entertain those. But again, we do not determine that. We're just going to have to adjust once we know what that ultimate classification is.
Well, let's go to another issue. It's Butler left the WPL in football 2 years ago to go to District 10. They're going to remain there for another 2 years just for football. All other sports are in the WPIAL. You recently, not just yourself, but the WPIAL board blocked Butler from participating in the District 10 playoffs. I just want to find out and understand your reasoning. Butler doesn't play a full 6A schedule. They may play 2A and 3A teams. They only have to win actually 1 6A game up in Erie to qualify for the playoffs. What's your reasoning behind preventing Butler from participating in the playoffs?
It's really a philosophical discussion that we had at the board level, and we actually took this action 2 years ago as well. That decision was changed out without board action. So the board wanted to reiterate their decision from 2 years ago back to Butler. So that is the reason for the correspondence this year. The sentiment hasn't changed. It's just we want to be enforced. As you saw, 2020 was a little bit of a whirlwind, and they ended up not participating in playoffs. And then this past fall, they did make it to the playoffs, as you mentioned. So that's when it came to light, that they were playing in those championships. That being said, the thinking is that we provide as a district, and they're a district member, a great opportunity for schedules and championships. If they are choosing to not receive a schedule, that is fine. I mean, there are certain schools or other schools that take that a route as well and develop a independent schedule where they can compete against schools of similar competition to build their program, get numbers up, a number of reasons that they do that. And again, that is allowed without penalty as long as they do it in a timely fashion. So we're not prohibiting them from doing that. However, we do not think that it's right that a school that is a district member participates in another district's tournament because it may find more success or an easier path to the playoffs and then ultimately qualification into the state playoffs. We don't want this to become an issue of other outlying schools that decide to pick and choose which sports they want to go into different districts or through district tournaments because they might find it an easier route or more success in those districts. We have a very prestigious history and we want to keep it that way. And we need all of our members to be on board with that.
Amy, was there some expectation when Butler left 2 years ago? Okay, we'll give them a breather, let them regroup. But you figured, well, they'll come back in 2 years. Okay, they had a 5-5 season, played in the championship game against McDowell. Maybe we expect Butler to come back. Was that part of your thinking?
Well, again, they had indicated that 2 years ago that they had intentions of returning. There wasn't a time frame on that. So of course it could be thought that there was the possibility that they might return, but upon knowing that they didn't ask for any changes to their situation, then we realized that they were staying up in District 10.
Amy, I have so many more questions to ask you. Didn't even get the basketball. The changes are going to occur specifically in 6A next year. The boys dropping down to 11 teams, the girls are 14 teams. We're going to have to save that for another show. I know you'll have everything resolved by the time I get back to you then. But I want to thank you for taking your time today and clarifying a lot of things for us. It's always great talking to you.
Thanks, at any time.
Thank you. I'll be right back with Al and George.
Armstrong has a history of being engaged in the areas where we provide service. One of these ways is through breaking bread. Food insecurity affects over 12 million children and 5 million seniors nationwide, putting them at risk for chronic health conditions. We're taking a four-prong approach to fighting hunger by collecting donations, volunteering time, donating money, and raising awareness. Visit ArmstrongOneWire.com/breakingbread to find a list of community feeding programs in your area.
I am back, joined to my right by the Swami, George Abraham, to my left by the Tiger, Albert Campman. Guys, always good to talk to Amy Schooneman. She doesn't mince her words. She answered all the questions. A very difficult situation with 6A football. Talked about Aliquip and, of course, the Butler situation and the reasoning that they gave for the WPL blocking Butler going into playoffs in District 10 when they're a full-time member in every other sport in the WPIL.
I'm with her. I am with her. I have to admit, I didn't have any solution for 6A, and that solution, I guess, the one that came up with the Butler situation. I'm all in with that, and Aliquip, I'm not. But I guess with the transfer rule, it's a PIAA. It's a PIAA.
Once again, I make it clear.
PIAA.
It's a PIAA. It's not Amy.
I get it.
You know what? It shouldn't be called a success rule then, because Southern Columbia would be 6A.
Oh, you're not kidding.
It's called a success rule. That's my problem with it.
Yeah.
It's not a success rule.
Called a transfer rule.
But the monkey in there is the transfers.
Well,
that tips the edge.
But see, the point is, the premise is it's athletic intent, and it's not Aliquip, it's socioeconomic.
Yes.
That's the problem.
Everyone
the
understands that.
Oh, did you listen to George? Fans?
But when they do it that way for them and not for someone else,
I agree. You can't differentiate.
But that is the
you
answer.
put categories.
No, it's the answer. You understand? Because I know. I grew up in Farrell.
I
You understand?
question.
In 5th grade, Louis James lived in Sharon.
Yeah.
And by 8th grade, he was back in Farrell. And by 11th grade, he was back in Sharon. Because he had to stay with his grandma. He had to stay with his aunt.
But did you remember that issue a few years ago?
You think Penn Trafford is going from grandpa to grandpa
Never.
to
Never.
But that
my
issue a few years
gosh.
ago where the outstanding football player from Ambridge, the mother and father supposedly split, so he drove across the bridge to Aliquippa, said he was going to live there with his mother, and he played football for Aliquippa, but the Quips are going to get penalized for
Yeah,
it.
that's what I'm saying. It's
All right, let's go to Spotlight. High school wrestling. Congratulations to Butler High School wrestling coach Scott Stoner on his
Stoney.
400th dual match win. 29 years as a head coach, and last week, for the first time in 5 years, they defeated powerful Seneca Valley 34-32.
And the guy, Al, when he started it, he was doing everything himself. You know what I'm saying?
I remember you saying, George.
You know, I've had more admiration because I walked in, they were already good. He started from scratch.
I get it.
Yeah, but
I have to
and
give
took
him
his beatings.
Absolutely, that guy deserves all the success he has and more.
High school basketball, our top scorers, girls, Alexa McDowell of Mars, 25. Avina Norman of Beaver Falls, 22. Olivia West of Seneca Valley, 20. We're going to see her against North Catholic on February the 12th. For the boys, Andrew Matalone, North Catholic, he had games of 37, 36, and 23. He averages 16.8 a game. Ryan Lang of Knock, 37. He averages 22.2. Devin Carney of Butler, 32 and 25. He averages 23.9. Kyle Davenport of Summit Academy, 27 and 20. Matt McDonough of NA, 25. He averages 20.9 a game. Tasso Stefanos of Mars, he had 25. He averages 16.7. Alexander Roth, Elwood City, had 24. He averages 18.7. Max Hurry in North Catholic had 23. He averages 20.3. Michael Wells in Newcastle, 23, 17.3. I know you said it before, he's going to where to play football?
Youngstown State.
Youngstown State. Austin Coate of Mars, 22. Joseph Roth of Elwood City, 22, 18.2. So the brothers split there by 0.5
Pretty
points.
amazing. I can't wait to see about what they're doing in swimming. That's because they're even
Amazing.
better in swimming.
Amazing. Vinnie Clark of Freeport, 21. Brendan Murray of Hampton, 21. Madden Clement of Butler, 21. Zach Schlegel of Mars, 21 and 20, averages 18 a game. Alan Grimes of Summit Academy, 20. And Caden Ramsey of Union Reimersburg, 20. Let's go to our power.
Hold up, Eddie. I'm
Yes.
going to say something about that. Because I listened to you talk. The teams that seem to have two guys in there are the teams that
Mars got three.
are big-time winners.
Yeah.
Mars has three.
Oh,
North
and they're
Catholic.
big-time
Mars,
winners. You understand? The teams that have one, that means he's taking all the shots.
Yeah, you can check them down, too.
I'm guessing that.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know,
And the Canes have two, and
you know
Wells
what I
and
mean? Oh,
Boys.
no, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
You
the
have-
King. See, here's what the King. This is what happens. Like if you went to 15 high school games, 14, a guy will come off the bench, might score 6. There are guys on their bench that'll come off and score 14.
Yes,
That's
that
the
happens.
difference.
at any time.
Absolutely.
Our power rankings, boys, North Hill's at the top, just obliterating everyone. They remain undefeated, followed by Fox Chapel, Upper St. Clair, Pine Richland, and Butler. In 5A, it's Laurel Highlands, Newcastle, Mars, Penn Hills, and Highlands. 4A, Belle Vernon, Quaker Valley, North Catholic, Lincoln Park, and Montour. In 3A, Elwood City, Seton LaSalle, Washington, South Allegheny, and Brentwood. In 2A, Olsh, Carleton, both undefeated, Greensburg Central Catholic, Fort Cherry, and Karn City. And 1A, it's Union of Newcastle at the top, followed by Bishop Canavan, Amani Christian, Leetsburg, and Eden Christian. And the girls, 6A, undefeated at the top, North Allegheny, followed by undefeated Mount Lebanon, Upper St. Clair, Norman, and Seneca Valley in there at 10 and 5. In 5A, Char Valley, Moon, Trinity, South Fayette, Mars, and Hampton. In 4A, Blackhawk, Knock, Belle Vernon, Southmoreland, and Elizabeth Forward. In 3A, North Catholic, Avonworth, South Park, Freedom, and Waynesburg. 2A, Neshannock, Sarah Catholic, Burgettstown, Greensburg Central Catholic, Seton LaSalle. And in 1A, it's Union of Newcastle, followed by Rochester. Union won that showdown, 43 to 41 over Rochester. You know they're going to meet again.
Block shot at the buzzer. Block shot at the buzzer.
West Green, Aquinas Academy, Clareton, and Union of Reimersburg in there at 9 and 2.
Two unions in there, huh?
Two unions. All right, let's go to our stories of the week. Let me just say this. The NFL gets it right. Better than any other sport. You know, we come down to the last week of the season, you have 5 teams fighting for a playoff berth, and then the playoffs have been fantastic. They've been outstanding. Let's go to the NFC. San Francisco 13, Green Bay 10. If you guys, I never have watched an NFL game, especially a playoff game, where a team won without scoring an offensive touchdown.
Yeah, I never remember that. And I'd have to blame the head coach. Once again, this week I'm on the coach's bandwagon saying they did some poor jobs. They've been lousy all year.
Yeah.
He
You know what I'm
mentioned
saying?
it. He said
Yes,
before the
if
game.
you're lousy all year, then if I'm a head coach, guess what I do? I take over. I said, I'm going to coach the special team. I'm not going to lose a playoff game
Absolutely.
because of a block punt, and he lost
And
the
a
game.
block
said it was
field goal.
gonna-
And a block field goal,
Eddie,
yes.
he said it was going to happen. He said, I hope this doesn't cost. Then
But
you
then
get a field
take
goal
the
block
safety.
at halftime.
Take a safety.
Exactly. Normally,
Take
if the other team had more than 100 yards, I might be lacking in doing that. They had 100 yards.
If you're the Green Bay defense, you played a great game.
No, they played great.
Playoff game. You
I
hold
wanted
the
to
team
take a
to 2
safety. I
field
called
goals.
it Georgia.
I know, he wouldn't. I
7-point lead.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All it takes is one fluke touchdown, and you
They
lose
don't
the game.
fluke
man.
all day. They never move
Absolutely.
the ball.
That's why I wanted to do
Absolutely.
that.
I could get it, but you already had a kick blocked.
and the 49ers defense sacked Rodgers 5 times. How about
They all look
in the
normal when you
first
rush the passer.
First half, he had 205 yards. Second half, 20. Ironically, everyone thought playing in that cold weather
It did.
would favor Green Bay. Actually, hurt their receivers. They were slipping, not
Adams
making
only
their
one can make
cuts.
cuts.
I don't know
Yeah.
either.
And Garofalo, you know, he takes a beating in San Francisco's, but he's 35 and 15 as a starter.
He played very poorly in that game. He got lucky.
Yeah.
He threw 3 passes that should have been intercepted, touchdown. Green Bay, but he's the weakest of the 4 left.
Yeah, no
By far,
question.
he's the weakest.
I agree.
That's the hardest game. They beat them 6 straight.
I know,
How
isn't
do you
it?
read that?
You know, just
Well, I know who the better team is, but that don't mean they're going to win.
Doesn't mean
No,
they're
I
going to
know
win.
well, they'd have won the last 5.
But I don't think they're the better team all the time. Those
Okay.
There's
this
a-
one,
there's a-
Stafford has made them
Yeah.
a better team.
There's
Three
a
of them this
confidence factor that comes
Yeah,
into that. We're going to
absolutely.
talk. It's just a
There's
feeling
something
of
to it, though,
confidence.
George.
Yeah.
So, where does Rodgers go in 2022?
Away. Just go away.
You know what?
Yeah,
I don't want to hear any more about him. He's complained about this, everything. Lied about the COVID vaccine. What does he want? $35 million a year, 40. He wants to go. Doesn't want to go to a team that's
Then
rebuilding.
he says they didn't do anything. He has the best receiver, a good line, decent running back, and a decent defense. What do you mean
Great
they didn't
defense.
do
What does he
Great
want?
running back.
What does he want? I don't want to hear
go
anymore.
away.
He's
I
a
don't wanna
diva.
hear
He really
Yeah,
is.
you
He's
know
really
what?
is.
And he'll go on McAfee on Tuesday, and they'll
He's
just
1
fall
and
at
4
his
in
feet.
championship games.
Yeah.
He's 11 and 10 overall in the playoffs.
Yeah, he's the
I
best.
can handle winning and losing, but he acts like he's above everybody else.
it's not
I
his-
don't want to hear that.
Prima
I
donna.
don't want to hear that.
All right.
Absolutely.
LA Rams 30, Tampa Bay 27. It was 27-3. I'm not watching this anymore. I clicked back to watch. I go, what? It's 27-20. You never count Brady out. Takes him right back down the field, ties it up.
You know what the one was?
They
big-
need one stop
Hey,
and they didn't
let
get
me
it.
tell you, there was a big call there. Guy goes for a pass, and the guy headshots him.
Right.
I thought it would be 15 from the spot. They called it a dead ball foul, gave him the ball, and moved it backwards. It changed that game completely.
I learned the rule there. It's when the
Absolutely.
ball hits the
Dead
ground.
ball.
It's dead.
Dead ball.
So it was a right call.
Dead ball foul.
Okay.
According to what the rules are in
Okay,
NFL.
all right.
Matt Stafford found Cooper Cup deep down the middle of the field. How he got open and set up the game.
Once again, who did I say I was blaming this week?
Coaches.
Coaches. There's
Yeah.
no reason.
Zero blitz,
when
20 seconds.
you blitz the whole team when you have to go 80 yards. Now, if you got to go 60 yards, if you have to go 10 yards,
he
out
needs
there-
10 for a field goal.
You
exactly.
know they're going to Cup.
Yeah, that's
you
right.
know they're going to go to him.
It's just,
Eddie,
but
just
but-
stupid
I agree.
coaching.
If you just throw him down one time,
Yeah.
The game's on hands.
Nine catches for
Oh, my.
183
Oh, he's
yards.
ridiculous.
Stafford threw for 368, 2 TDs. And Brady, if that was his last game, 30 of 54, 329, a touchdown interception. Does he retire? Should he retire? I know his arm looked pretty good.
I
to
have a
me.
feeling. First time I've ever had a feeling
Yeah.
that he's going to retire.
I think his
I have
wife
a
wants
strong
him to.
feeling. I have a feeling.
His wife and his kids want
that's
him
what it
to.
looks like.
What more?
The one child's from the girl on Blue Bloods, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, the NFC Championship will be San Francisco at the LA Rams. The Rams by 3.5, but Frisco plays a physical style ball that gives the Rams fits.
Well, the two teams one went out. My team Buffalo went out, but the two teams I took was San Francisco and Buffalo. So I got to stay with San Francisco because I took them all the way through.
Yeah.
So that's what.
All right. And Cincy 19, Tennessee 16. I like them. I thought they'd win a close game. The rookie kicker, Evan McPherson, kicks a 52-yard game-winning field goal. He kicked 4 in the game. The kid is amazing in his confidence when he goes out on the
We got
field.
this. He goes, we're in the championship.
How about this for Cincy? 0-7 all-time playoff road wins. They snapped that streak. They're going to the championship game for the first time since
But how about they
1988.
sacked him 9 times? You know, you shouldn't lose.
And it wasn't all on the offensive line. He stood back there at times
That's why
like
he
a
plays,
Statue of Liberty.
he plays.
You know, usually it's 1,001, 1,002. You better get rid of the ball on 3.
Cincinnati throws the ball down the field though.
Yeah.
And, so they're not much for these dump offs.
Yeah, true.
Tremendous
So,
group of
so they're going to
receivers.
throw the ball down the field. But the thing that doesn't get credit in that game, and nobody's wrote. I looked scoured.
Their defense.
Yes, Cincinnati's defense won that game.
Two playoff games, 35
Yes,
points.
that's why nobody's writing about
35
it.
points.
All these
in the
idiots,
playoff
all
game.
these idiots who
No,
think
they
they're
don't.
pretty smart
They don't know
don't write
They
anything.
don't know anything. And what? The kickers. 50-yard
It's
field
nothing to them,
goals
is
in
it?
the mud.
It's nothing to them
It's
anymore.
like that one. Kansas City lined up like I was an extra point. Bang!
Tannehill 3 interceptions.
Oh, I get-
and the big play, talking about defense, you knew Derrick Henry, 4th and 1, 6'3", 245. He could fall forward, get a yard. They stuffed him.
Another coaching move in this
They
game.
stuffed
Though.
it.
The coach
There
wanted
you
to
go.
Going,
Play
going,
action.
going for 2.
First why he went for 2.
Kick the ball. There
Why?
is
6'3". Why would you go for 2 at that point?
You know,
no. It's not. It's a stupid. No, it was
I
six,
know.
It was
not-
6'6". It was
yeah,
6'6".
it's not analytics.
No, I thought he went up 6'3".
No,
6'6".
6'6". He went for
6'6".
2.
Okay.
Eddie, tell me. So,
I don't know.
You know what happened?
Either way,
later
he
on, it
kicked the
came
extra
back and
point.
it bit him later on.
Ask Joe Staley of San Diego.
Yeah. Oh, he's out.
He fired 2 of
He's
his
Rogers
assistant
Jr.
coaches.
He's Rogers
Yeah.
But so
Jr.
many of these coaches have done that.
Yeah.
Tennessee has now lost 3 straight home playoff games as the number 1 seed.
That's bench press. That's Coach bench press.
Yeah.
That's what that is.
Now, one for the ages. In overtime, the Chiefs 42, the Bills 36. I told George, I saw that laser thrown by Josh Allen. They were celebrating 17.
Don't
I said the
celebrate.
game's over. So I
But it
changed the
should be
channel.
over. It
I
should
say,
be over.
so I said, I'll go back watch a
Yeah.
post game. I'm looking. I'm saying this can't be overtime. How could they have scored with 14 seconds
You can't,
left?
you can't.
So
Well,
now,
I'm gonna tell you why.
Yeah.
Check this one off as the biggest check. The coach should be fired today. You
Should've
squib
been a
kick.
squib
No,
kick.
everybody in the
Absolutely.
country knows you squib kick that because you take 4 more seconds
But
off.
he doesn't start
Now-
till he touch. What if he dives on it?
Then that's fine.
So
it's,
what?
It's down at the 2-yard line. I don't care.
Okay.
So
If they wanna start at the 2-yard
even
line,
he
that's
does,
fine.
it takes at least 2 or 3 seconds off. He kicked it in the end zone, took no seconds
Yeah,
off.
absolutely.
Then the other thing I would have done, every time a receiver come off the line of scrimmage, I'd have grabbed him. I use his 4 seconds
You
up.
still see me.
You do it 3 times.
George,
the
how many times
game's
have I
over.
told
Yeah,
you,
it's
George?
awful.
3 times the
I didn't
game's
think
over.
you knew football. Now I know
What do
you
you
know
mean
football.
I don't know
Now I know
football?
you know football. George,
What do you think I coached 20
I've called
years for?
all the football. I said, listen, it's simple. You tackle the receivers, the game ends. Eddie, just tackle all 5 receivers. Guys, fans, tackle
Alvin,
the
Explain
receivers.
it, because it can't end on a penalty.
we used to-
Explain
we-
it,
we
'cause
used
it can't
to-
end on a penalty.
I don't care if it
Can't
ends or
end
not.
it.
The last play's going to go from the 30-yard line.
But you're going to use all the
They're gonna-
seconds up.
Yeah, the seconds.
5-yard penalty
Remember,
for
they have
holding.
to eventually throw it.
5-yard
Oh,
penalty.
yes. They have to throw it 70 yards.
We used to tell the kids in high school, if we're winning by a
Tackle
touchdown
'em.
with 20 seconds, grab him. It's just a
But
15-yard
see,
penalty.
Wait a minute. You got 2 different sets of rules there.
Two
you
sets
do it
of
down
rules.
the field in
Not
high
down the
school,
field, not
it's
down the field.
15 yards.
No,
You
we're
do
talking.
it in pros, it's
No,
where it happens.
You didn't hear what I
If
said.
the ball's in the air.
As soon as he comes off the ball,
right at
you
the line,
grab
yeah.
him.
You think those guys are
5
easy to
yards.
grab like it's nothing?
Right at the
They think
line.
you're just gonna let you
5-yard
grab them.
penalty. But they grab him all the time.
They
do
do.
it
That's
all the
why you
time.
got 180 yards receiving. They must not be grabbing that
grabbing.
chase. that
They
many
don't.
times.
No,
I'm
they'll
talking
tackle
about
them.
doing
They
it
can do that.
intentionally.
Oh, I get that.
Intentionally.
You
You
know,
can miss it, too.
intentionally. That's
Well,
the easiest. Eddie, I'm so
But
proud
that
of you.
defense was so bad. Number 1 in the league in scoring.
Number
and they
one.
just gave them.
No, it's
that
a
was
misnomer.
awful.
And they
I
never
fired
changed.
them.
You know
they
what?
never changed. Eddie, insanity. What is it, George?
Repeating the same.
They rushed
But-
4 guys. You got to say, wait a minute.
In-
If they're going to score 60 points, I got to try something.
Yeah.
In the
Yeah,
game,
rush 3 or 7.
In the games that they lost to good teams, they gave up an average of like 30-some points a game, Buffalo. So their defense was made against a lot of the lesser teams with the losing records. Against the good teams, they got torched. They needed one stop. Everyone complains about the sudden death overtime. I say get a
Oh,
stop.
yeah, I say the same
Get
thing.
a stop.
Yeah, when it was a field goal, I didn't like it.
Right. Yes.
You can't keep them out of the end zone.
You gotta
That's
score-
all.
yeah, stop them to score a
Absolutely.
touchdown.
I don't.
That's good.
Yeah, there's
That's good.
another-
Yep.
Now let's go here to Mahomes. That back shoulder pass to Kelsey was unbelievable. 80-yard drive in overtime. Once again, the Buffalo didn't get a stop anywhere along the line.
Did
there.
anybody here think they were going to stop them?
No.
No.
I don't think so.
And let me ask you: have you ever seen a team with more team speed than you've seen?
That's
with,
what they
with,
have.
With
That
the
is
Chiefs?
that's a strength.
Dangerous.
Sometimes
at
I'll
every
see a
level.
guy and I think it's number 10 and it's number 1.
Hey, yeah, Andy Reid now, that's his 19th playoff win. He ties Don Shula for 3rd place. They're favored by 7 against the Bengals.
Yeah, Bengals are dangerous.
I'm going to root for the
Kansas
Bengals.
City's better, but the only reason Kansas City's defense ain't great.
No. But
Cincinnati can throw the ball on them.
all 3 teams, other 3 teams, Kansas City, the Rams, have all won Super Bowls. Cincinnati has it. I'm rooting for Cincinnati. I just want to say this, a topic to pick up for next week. If you're the Steelers, the big picture, you look at all the young quarterbacks in the AFC.
Yeah, they're not close.
They're so far behind in that category. Hey, that's it for us. We've run out of time. We'll see you next week.
Greetings, everyone. Matthew Kramer, music director of the Butler County Symphony here, inviting you to a musical tour of the Scottish Highlands. We begin our program with Hector Berlioz's Rob Roy Overture, before turning to Max Brooks' Scottish Fantasy, a work that's based off of numerous Scottish folk tunes. Our violinist is Jinju Cho, who has won first prize at so many violin competitions around the world, a marvelous young violinist. On the second half of the program, we have Felix Mendelssohn's Symphony No. 3, The Scotch, which was composed in 1842 but inspired by a trip that he took to the Scottish Highlands in 1829. A marvelous all-Scotch program. We hope you can join us February 5th at 7:30.
Level up your internet. Zoom Extreme from Armstrong gives you unlimited data at our fastest speeds available. That means unlimited gaming, unlimited streaming, and unlimited downloading with no fear of overage charges, delivered on our super reliable fiber optic network. But that's not all. Zoom's enhanced Wi-Fi provides complete coverage throughout your home, to the devices that need it most, and it gets better each day. Take advantage of the best value in broadband. Zoom Extreme from Armstrong. The future is faster. The future is now.